Okay, our topic today is element and design of 2D composition, or in bahasa Indonesia, ya, we sometimes call it as Nirmana Dwimatra. Okay, my name is Arif Budi Solihah. I'm one of the lecturer at the DS1 class. Okay, first of all, Nirmana is actually comes from Sanskrit word, or in bahasa Indonesia we know as Sanskerta, ya. Bahasa Sanskerta means creation or transformation or composition. So Nirmana is the organization or arrangement of visual elements such as points, lines, color, shapes, spaces, and textures into a harmonious composition. Jadi nirmana ini adalah apa ya, dari bahasa Sanskerta, ya, yang mungkin bermakna komposisi atau penciptaan sesuatu, ya, dan juga sering diinterpretasikan sebagai hasil dari imajinasi kita, ya, dalam bentuk dua dimensi. Dalam hal ini we call it dwimatra or two dimensional, or trimatra means three dimensional, ya. Jadi nanti in the next session you will have your three-dimensional assignment, but today we will focus on the two-dimensional nirmana, or we call it nirmana dwimatra. Of course, in nirmana it should have the value of beauty. So the organization or the arrangement must have nilai-nilai keindahan, ya. Jadi disinilah kenapa komposisi ini sebagai hasil dari imajinasi itu, ya, harus memiliki nilai keindahan. Nirmana is also called as the science of design or creation or composition. So jadi ini adalah ilmu tentang desain. We call it nirmana. Okay. In this picture we can see one of the examples of nirmana dwimatra from the steel composition, ya. It was developed in Europe, ya, especially in the Netherlands in 1920s, ya, during the modern movement era, especially in the Netherlands. Okay, next. Okay, basically nirmana dwimatra comes from, of course, point and then line, ya. Line is one of the most essential elements of design. Jadi garis itu bagian yang paling esensial atau elemen yang paling esensial dalam kita mendesain. Garis selalunya lebih panjang, ya, daripada ketebalannya. Garis bisa jadi sesuatu yang menerus begitu, atau mungkin putus-putus, ya. Or maybe sometimes a line also implied. It means that between two shapes, yeah, we can see that implied there is a line over there. Okay, a line can be vertical, can be diagonal, can be horizontal, and even curve, of course. It can be any width or size or shape or position or direction or interval, or even the density of the line can be very in a variety. Yeah. So essentially, points will create lines and line will create shapes. A line can have other elements such as color, texture, and also movement that apply to it. Okay, after we understand point and then line, we will know what we call shape or bidang. Yeah? A shape is the result of enclosed line to form a boundary. Shapes are two-dimensional and can be described as geometric, organic, and abstract. Ya. Geometric shapes atau sering kita kenal sebagai bentuk yang matematis, bentuk geometris, itu biasanya memiliki ukuran yang lebih precise atau lebih jelas, ya, ukurannya begitu. And in geometry, there are some basic shapes such as squares, circle, and triangles. And of course, in geometric shapes can be the combination between those three. Ya. Jadi bentuk geometri itu bisa merupakan gabungan di antara lingkaran, segitiga, maupun persegi. Kemudian juga bidang itu bisa jadi sifatnya organik, that is can be stated as non-geometric, or we can call it a non-Euclidean shapes ya. Dia bentuknya tidak beraturan ya, dan kadang terkesan lebih natural, lebih smooth seperti itu. Jadi bentuk-bentuk organik ya yang bisa kita lihat di alam ya. Alam itu lebih sifatnya bentuknya lebih organik. And of course also the abstract shapes. It's a minimalist representations of reality. For instance, a stick figure of a person is an abstract shape. Jadi bentuk abstrak itu biasanya adalah merupakan representasi penyederhanaan dari realitas ya. Jadi misalnya contohnya kita bisa melihat di gambar ini ya, these shapes represent sun, right? So it's a simplification or abstraction from the sun shapes. It's just like the stick figure, yeah, when we want to represent a person. Okay, there are many principles in Nirmana Dwimatra, but here we will focus on some main principles in Nirmana that you will learn later on. Okay, first is what we call balance principle. Balance principle is a composition that provides stability to a design by placing the elements in such a way that the visual weight in terms of object, colors, textures, and shape is distributed. Okay, so balance create a state of equilibrium of the visual forces as well as a feeling of stability in the composition. Jadi prinsip yang pertama yang akan kita bahas adalah balance atau keseimbangan ya. Jadi balance ini lebih menyusun bagaimana elemen-elemen di dalam desain itu kita distribusikan sehingga nampak seimbang ya, baik itu di sisi kanan, di sisi kiri, di atas, bawah dan seterusnya. Nah, di dalam prinsip balance atau keseimbangan itu bisa jadi sifatnya simetri atau asimetri. Ya. As long as the composition expresses and maintains a sense of equilibrium. Jadi walaupun asimetri tetapi tetap ada keseimbangan di situ ya. So in the field of art this balance principle cannot be measured but we can feel it ya, but can be felt. Tidak bisa kita ukur kadang-kadang tetapi bisa kita rasakan gitu bahwa suatu komposisi itu nampak seimbang, which is a condition where all parts of a work are not burdensome to each other. Jadi elemen-elemen yang kita susun itu tidak saling mengganggu. Jadi semuanya justru seolah-olah saling membuat harmoni dan membuat keseimbangan satu sama lain. Oke, seperti contoh di maaf ini rasanya saya harus stop share sebentar. Saya matikan dulu ini supaya tidak mengganggu. Okay, so, can you see my screen now?
Yes, Bu Arif.
Okay. Yeah, just in this composition, for example, yeah, we can see that there is a. Sorry, I can use the annotated here. There's a circle over here, yeah, small circle here, but we have seperempat lingkaran ya di sini ya. So even though there are two circle here, but we can feel that it's something that is a balance. Okay. Jadi di dalam elemen-elemen baik di kanan, kiri, atas, bawah dan juga warna-warna yang ada di dalam komposisi ini seperti mendukung bahwa there's a sense of equilibrium, there's a sense of balance in it ya, even though it is not symmetrical. Okay, first we will look at what is symmetry or symmetrical balance. It is the balanced distribution and the arrangement of equivalent shapes on opposite side of a dividing line or shapes or about a center or axis. Yeah. This is the compositions of elements that are equal weight and value on either side of the axis. Jadi prinsip atau komposisi simetri ini adalah komposisi yang sejak zaman dahulu ya di dalam sejarahnya berbagai peradaban di dunia itu sudah banyak yang menggunakan prinsip ini. Karena prinsip ini selain dianggap memiliki nilai-nilai keindahan, juga dianggap memiliki nilai-nilai kesakralan. Ya, jadi nanti kalau kalian melihat beberapa objek arsitektur ya atau mungkin karya-karya komposisi seperti itu banyak yang menggunakan prinsip simetri, because it considered as something that has a very high value of beauty and also having a sacred meaning to the community. There are three main types of symmetry. First is translation symmetry or crystallographic symmetry. It occurs when elements are repeated over different locations in space. Yeah, we will look at later on. Yeah. And then the second one is the rotational symmetry or radial symmetry. It occurs when everything rotates around a common center. So in this picture, yeah, we can state that this one has a rotational or radial symmetry. And then the third one is the reflectional symmetry or bilateral symmetry. It occurs when everything is mirrored around a central axis. Okay, so this one is the examples of reflectional symmetry. It is when it's like reflective, yeah. And then also this one is rotational when we can rotate like yeah, it's like tire ya in a car ya, seperti roda seperti itu kita bisa merotasinya, itu is called a radial symmetry. And then there's also what we call the translational symmetry or crystallographic symmetry. It's just like in this picture. And then this in the right picture, right composition, this is the combination between the reflectional and the radial symmetry. Okay, next we will talk about asymmetry or asymmetrical balance. Asymmetrical balance is the result from unequal visual weight on each side of the composition. One side of the composition might contain a dominant element which could be balanced by a couple or a more lesser focal point on the other side. Ya. Jadi asimetri ini tidak seperti yang simetri tadi benar-benar sama di antara sisi kanan dan sisi kiri. Ada perbedaannya, namun tetap ada keseimbangan di situ. Ya, jadi di dalam asimetri itu ada elemen dominan ya yang kemudian diseimbangkan oleh elemen lain yang tetap kita bisa merasakan there is a balance in that. Ya. One visually heavy element on the one side might be balanced by a handful or lighter elements on the other side. Okay, asymmetrical balance is more dynamic and more interesting, some say. Yeah? It evokes the feeling of modernism, movement, energy, and vitality. Asymmetrical balance offers a more visual variety, although it can be more difficult to achieve because the relationships between elements are more complex. Jadi memang untuk bisa membuat komposisi asimetri ini agak perlu effort lebih bagi kita untuk lebih sensitif untuk merasakan apakah komposisi kita itu sudah seimbang satu sama lain meskipun elemen di kanan dan kirinya bisa jadi berbeda seperti itu. This one of the example is the Vincent van Gogh painting. Yeah, we can feel the sense of balance over there, even though it is not exactly symmetrical. So this is what we call the asymmetrical balance principles. Yeah, this is also still the still 2D compositions from the Dutch, yeah, during the modern movement era. They love to make compositions of square with some variety of the size, yeah, and also the colors. Jadi warna ini juga digunakan untuk mencapai keseimbangan, ya, mencapai keseimbangan asimetri. Ya, jadi warna merah yang demikian seolah-olah berat itu kemudian diseimbangkan dengan warna putih yang lebih terkesan ringan, begitu ya. Jadi keseimbangan di antara keduanya memang dicoba betul, begitu ya, di komposisi ini. Contohnya ini komposisi oleh Piet Mondrian, ya, sangat terkenal pada saat itu di masa The Still. Ya, The Still itu mungkin bahasa Inggrisnya adalah The Style, ya, during 1920s era. Okay, this is also some examples of asymmetrical balance composition, yeah, that we can achieve through combining some geometrical shapes and also colors, yeah, and we try to we attempt to how to say, to produce what we call it asymmetrical principles of composition. This is also some of the examples of the asymmetrical balance. Okay, the second principle, the second principle first is balance, right? In balance, we have symmetry and asymmetry, and the third, or the fourth, right? Or the third one is irama or rhythm. Rhythm is actually a concept of systematic repetition. Jadi di dalam prinsip komposisi kadang-kadang ada juga yang menyampaikan prinsipnya namanya repetisi dan irama itu tersendiri. Tetapi sebenarnya irama itu bisa menjadi bagian di dalam repetisi. Ya. Jadi basicnya a human being, we are naturally engaged in experiencing things that are done in rhythm, right? Such as music. Yeah, we love to listen to music that has the rhythm, right? We dance with the rhythm, where time and movement are coordinated. Yeah, music and dance where time and movements are coordinated. In architecture, yeah, later on when you designing some architectural works, architecture rhythm can be presented in such as, for example, in columns, in windows, walls, and other elements of a building design in such way that it transmit a repetition of the same elements. So in this picture, we can see a small, simple examples of rhythm composition. Yeah, it's from the square shapes, big size, and then smaller and smaller and smaller, and then also we put in a position that we can see it. It's like it has rhythm. Yeah. These are also some examples of rhythm compositions. We can also call it, this is a repetition, yeah. But in rhythm, it has more movement actually, yeah. And also rhythm may have a more variety of shapes, ya. Jadi perbedaan antara repetisi dan irama adalah sebenarnya kalau repetisi itu biasanya dari satu elemen saja atau satu bentukan saja, ya, satu bidang saja, misalnya persegi panjang, begitu kemudian disusun secara berulang-berulang seperti itu. Ya, tetapi untuk irama bisa jadi bentukannya bisa lebih bervariasi. Ya, jadi tidak hanya dalam satu jenis bidang saja. Ya, this is also some examples of rhythm composition. Ya, we can also put some colors to make it more vibrant, ya, more interesting, and also have more value of beauty. Okay, there's also some examples of rhythm composition, yeah, in organic shapes, yeah, also in some more, of course, geometric, and you can use geometric shapes or organic shape or etc. Yeah. Okay, the next principle is what we call the hierarchy or emphasis. Yeah. Jadi prinsip ini, prinsip hierarki atau emphasize ini ya, ini adalah satu prinsip yang menekankan kepentingan atau memprioritaskan satu bentuk tertentu atau satu bidang tertentu ya untuk diletakkan atau untuk apa ya istilahnya ada hierarkinya itu berbeda ya dengan yang lainnya atau ada penekanan yang berbeda dengan bidang-bidang yang lainnya. Okay, so it's emphasizing the importance or priority or of a form or space according to its size, form, and placement relative to other forms or spaces of an organization. Emphasis is a strategy that aims to draw the viewer's attention to a specific design element. Yeah, this is, we can see from this simple composition. Yeah, there are 9 square here, but then we put the 9 square into a different location. So it means here that we emphasizing these shapes towards the other shapes. Ya. Jadi ini seperti menekankan memprioritaskan satu bidang terhadap bidang yang lain. Jadi kita seolah-olah memberikan hierarki lebih, ya, penekanan lebih atau emphasize yang lebih kepada satu bidang terhadap bidang yang lain. Yeah. So in emphasize, actually, we want to create a focal point. Yeah, we can use color or maybe a location, yeah, or maybe the size of the shape itself can be different with the other shapes. Yeah. Like this one, we have triangle here. The biggest triangle has the different hierarchy with different triangles at the other side. Okay, so we can use also different shape. For example, here we use rectangle, but here that we have circle here to emphasize that the circle has something that has as a focal point. Yeah, we put the circle there as a focal point of our composition. Okay, yeah, we can use different way to compose what we call the hierarchy or emphasize composition. Okay, these are some examples of two paintings by Klein. Yeah, he is a very famous painter. Yeah, he used to use some basic shapes to produce his painting, and he often emphasize on some shapes to be a focal point in his paintings. Okay, next we will talk about different principles in composition, what we call contrast. Contrast means opposition or dissimilar elements in a work of design to intensify each element's properties and to produce a more dynamic expression. So we put something that is very different, yeah, with the other elements or with other shapes. We can use color with the same shapes, or we can use other shapes to produce a contrast composition. Why we have to make a contrast composition? First, if we want to make a visual variety, we want to make our compositions more interesting, yeah, more have a dynamic, more have excitement. Okay, and also point of interest. We want to make some element as the point of interest. This is actually quite the same with the emphasize, yeah. But emphasize can be a non-contrast, yeah. But contrast, what I'm saying is that dalam hierarki atau dalam emphasis ya, kita bisa menggunakan elemen yang kontras ya tadi, tapi tidak semua kontras adalah hierarki. Not all in contrast are actually emphasizing something. Okay. Contrast can be recognized in a building when two adjacent parts are different from one and another through different materials. Yeah, we can not only in a building actually, yeah, but in this 2D composition we can also use different materials or different scales, different colors, different texture, light, shade, and shadow of meshes to create contrast. Yeah, especially when you next time when you will produce a 3D nirmana. Yeah, for the 2D nirmana, maybe we will not use some texture first. Okay, but different material we can of course use it. Different scale, different colors, of course we can use it. Okay, once again, the purpose of contrast in design is actually to avoid monotony. It produces variety, it creates a diversified effect, yeah, and also give emphasis. Yeah, once again, contrast can be emphasis, but not all contrasts are emphasis. Yeah, so it also will draw our attention. The method to producing contrast in design you can do by combining elements of different characteristics, such as we can combine circle and square here and triangle, for example. Ya. Jadi untuk memproduksi kontras di dalam desain kita bisa mengkombinasikan elemen-elemen yang berbeda ya. Contohnya kita bisa mengkombinasikan lingkaran dengan persegi ya. Kemudian satu elemen bisa mendominasi yang lain sehingga bisa menunjukkan sebagai point of interest. Kemudian kita juga bisa menambah variasi bentuk, ukuran ya, mungkin juga warna dan yang lainnya untuk bisa memproduksi satu komposisi kontras. Okay, contrast, the type of contrast can be from the mesh, yeah, this is for the 3-dimensional, and also the surface, of course, yeah, this one is for the 3D composition. Okay, these are some examples of contrast. First, we can use figure ground, yeah. We can use a very different color, yeah. For example, this black and white, of course, this is very contrast, yeah. Jadi kita bisa membuat satu yang sangat kontras melalui black and white, misalnya hitam putih ya. Kita kenalnya as a figure and ground. Contrast can also be achieved through shapes ya, through color, through scale ya. Skala, ukuran bidangnya bisa berbeda-beda, itu bisa membuat akhirnya seperti sebuah komposisi kontras. Atau layoutnya juga kita kontraskan ya. Nah, ini adalah contoh misalnya ya beberapa komposisi kontras yang bisa kita produksi ya. For example, we use different shapes over here. Yeah, we have a circular shape over here with a very bright color, yellow color, and the other shapes and color are a bit more monochrome. Yeah, so it gives the sense of contrasting something that is bright and something that is not very bright. Yeah, using the monochrome color. Or we can use the same shape actually, but with different color as well, and also we have the same directions over here, but the color are very contrast, yeah, by black and white, and a very colorful elements over here, yeah. So it creates a more contrast composition. Okay, of course, you as a beginner over here, yeah, practice makes perfect. So don't worry too much. You will practice one by one, bit by bit, yeah, one step at a time, of course. But if you pay more attention to it, I believe that you will reach the best work of Nirmana Dwimatra that we will try to do. Okay, these are some, of course, you already know, yeah, some of the equipments or tools for you to produce. If you want to produce the black and white, I suggest you to use the pencils and also the drawing pen. Use pencil also have a very useful for you, yeah, for you to practice more and more to apa ya, untuk membuat otot-otot tangan Anda lebih lemas ya. Saya kira menggunakan pensil itu di awal itu sangat penting ya. It's very important to use pencil at the very beginning for you to have a good skill in drawing. Why? Because with pencil we can use the emphasize lagi ya, menekankan tekanan tangan yang berbeda-beda itu akan memproduksi ketebalan garis yang berbeda dan seterusnya. Itu akan sedikit berbeda. It's a bit different with when use the drawing pen ya. Kalau kita menggunakan drawing pen itu seberapapun penekanan kita rasanya yang keluar tuh relatif sama. Kenapa? Karena memang ukuran drawing pen itu sudah tertentu, right? So please practice first with a pencil, and then if you already mastering pencil, yeah, then you can proceed to drawing pen. And also, of course, yeah, I think you already did it last week, of course, with the doodle art and yeah, with the doodle art. But until I think this is not late for you if you still want to practice with this kind of drawing, yeah, so to make your hands more capable to draw. Okay. And of course some of the other equipments with colors, yeah, I think from now on you can start, yeah, to buy start to use again, such as, for example, the pencil color, the watercolor, yeah, maybe some of the acrylic and etc. I hope that afterwards, yeah, after this session, we start to use many kinds of drawing equipments for you to learn more to produce a composition. Okay, what about Nirmana Dwimatra in real life? This is only some examples that you might remember, yeah. Of course, in reality, in our nature, God already creates our nature. Oh my God, very beautiful, yeah, more than beautiful. I cannot express, yeah. Like, for example, these only some examples of leaves, yeah, in my garden, yeah. These are begonias leaf, yeah. I really love begonias, and I found out that begonias, all begonias leaves are actually asymmetry, yeah. They have a even it has all have asymmetrical balance, ya. Jadi semuanya tuh asimetrik. Saya baru menyadari bahwa daun yang asimetrik itu salah satunya adalah karakter dari daun begonia. Kalau yang lain tuh rasanya tuh semuanya simetri, ya. Tetapi ternyata spesies begonia ini it has asymmetrical balance. So I really love to look at all this and hidden beauty, yeah, in my garden. Okay, the other things is maybe you can find in a quilt pattern, yeah. Maybe your grandma loves to make quilt. Jadi ini seperti kerajinan quilt, ya. Jadi kain perca begitu, ya, itu sejak dulu sudah berkembang sangat pesat, ya, zaman dulu begitu, ya. Ini tidak hanya di Indonesia, ternyata quilt pattern ini ada di Eropa, ya, di berbagai negara di Eropa itu mereka memiliki berbagai tipe quilt pattern, ya, dan di Amerika juga demikian berkembang sedemikian pesat, dan seperti kita lihat ini menggunakan komposisi dua dimensi that most of it are using symmetry, right, symmetrical principles, ya. Even though maybe some quilt pattern also use asymmetry, but in this example, we can see that all of those compositions are mainly using the symmetrical balance composition. Okay, so actually also Nirmana is everywhere, yeah. Especially also if we look at our city through from above, yeah. At this left picture, this is Perth city in Australia, yeah. We can see that even though this is maybe not a very planned, ya. Jadi ini tidak benar-benar di planning kan bentuknya seperti ini karena ini kombinasi antara organic elements such as the river in that city and also the planning, ya, the urban planning in that city. It combines together, it becomes one very beautiful compositions in my mind, ya. Also at the right hand picture, this is actually Paris, ya, kota Paris yang kita bisa melihat bagaimana komposisinya sedemikian seperti apa ya, komposisi dua dimensi yang sangat menarik ya. Jadi asimetri, ada sungai Seine di tengah-tengahnya ini begitu, dan kemudian di atas bawahnya ini terbagi meskipun tidak benar-benar sama tetapi membuat kesan komposisi yang sangat menarik ya. Mungkin juga kota-kota di yang lain ya, kota-kota di Indonesia juga bisa kita lihat bagaimana komposisinya. And of course also in the buildings we can see the, like for example, the details in our design, yeah. For example, this one is the ceramic tiles from Yogyakarta. We call it tegel kunci, yeah. Yeah, this is very old way of producing ceramic tiles. They use handmade, yeah. And they are very famous of the beautiful composition, ya. Tegel kunci katanya didasarkan atas desain yang dibawa oleh dulu dari Belanda, ya. Jadi tegel kunci itu didominasi oleh komposisi dua dimensi ala Belanda. Gitu. Tapi ada beberapa tegel juga di Yogyakarta seperti tegel bintang, ya. Mereka mengatakan bahwa mereka lebih terinspirasi dari tegel-tegel dari Perancis. Ya, jadi masing-masing tuh memiliki keunikannya, ya, memiliki karakteristik yang agak berbeda. Kalau yang dari Perancis itu lebih banyak bersulur-sulur seperti itu ya, lebih ekstravaganza sih menurut saya ya. Dibandingkan yang dari yang tegel kunci ini lebih banyak yang berupa lebih simple seperti itu. Meskipun juga masih ada yang bersulur-sulur juga ya. Nah, ini sebenarnya sangat relevan dengan perkembangan seni di dua negara tersebut ya. Kalau di Prancis itu dulu berkembang seni yang namanya Art Nouveau ya, dan kalian di mata kuliah Sekar kan juga diajarkan ya bagaimana Art Nouveau, and also in Netherlands ya, in Dutch they famous of what we call the still art that is more simple than the Art Nouveau in France. Okay, what about in our country? Yeah, of course, we can find many kinds of 2D composition in our traditional house. One of the example is actually in the Toraja Tongkonan house decoration. Yeah, in their walls, we can see full of ornaments. Yeah, full of 2D compositional ornament that is inspired by the organic and by the nature, yeah, surroundings their areas, yeah, in Sulawesi. This is such a beautiful pattern if we want to look at and study about it. And also there are some geometric pattern in Islamic design that was also very beautiful, yeah. As we know that in Islamic concept, we are prohibited of making representations of human figures and also animals, of course. So the artisans during the olden time, yeah, in the Abbasid era or maybe in the Usmani era, they loves to use geometric art as part of the ornamentations in mosque, for example, or in other important buildings that they design. Oh yeah, this one is in the walls of Alhambra in Granada in Spain, one of the most beautiful building, yeah, that was designed, yeah, through history, and it still exists now in Granada. It was one of the palace, they call it as the Moor kingdom, yeah. Yeah, this one once again we come back to Indonesia. Yeah, this one is actually the plan atau denah dari Borobudur, Candi Borobudur ya di Jawa Tengah, itu di sekitar di Magelang. Yang kalau kita lihat denahnya, kita bisa melihat komposisinya itu sangat simetrik. Jadi kita sekali lagi seperti melihat yang tadi ya, ternyata komposisi simetri itu sudah banyak digunakan oleh berbagai budaya sejak zaman dulu ya, karena selain dianggap sebagai salah satu komposisi yang paling indah, dia juga bermakna sakral ya, or sacred for the people at the time. Yeah, this is the 3 dimension of Borobudur Temple as we know. Okay, so this is the assignment. I was just copying from Pak Galih's TOR ya, that in this assignment Anda akan mengkreasi seni kriya nirmana 2 dimensi yang menerapkan prinsip penyusunan bentuk geometri dasar. Jadi kita akan mulai dengan geometri dasar terlebih dahulu ya. So we will start with the basic geometry, that is square, circle, and also triangle. The assignment is focused as part of the explorations of image media. You can use color or black and white. You can use paper, and of course it will manual or hand drawing. Yeah, you will not use a computer, of course. Yeah, and then the tools is hand drawing sketch, of course sketch. Yeah. So the objective is actually untuk mengenalkan penggunaan sketsa untuk menyusun komposisi 2 dimensi. Jadi fokusnya adalah mengeksplorasi desain yang dapat menunjukkan komposisi dan keteraturan. Ya, jadi di sini Anda akan diminta untuk mengeluarkan kemampuan Anda untuk mengaplikasikan prinsip-prinsip nirmana ke dalam karya 2 dimensi. Nah nanti ini saya akan tanya ke Pak Koordinator ya, jumlah tugasnya berapa gitu kan? Karena kan tadi kita punya ada asimetri, ada irama, ada kontras, ya, ada hierarki, seperti itu paling nggak ada 5 ya yang sudah kita pelajari. Okay, I think that's from me. Thank you very much.